So it's great to be here with you guys today. We're talking about budgeting. What do you guys want to know?
I'm worried about debt. What do I need to know?
Well, I think it's important to say that not all debt is bad. So there could be a very good reason for you to take out debt. For instance, if you want to buy your own home, you'll probably have to take out a mortgage because most of us can't afford to just go out and buy a house with the money we've got in our bank account. And you might also want to get a loan to set up a business or buy a car or, buy some new furniture for your flat. Whatever it might be, so long as you have planned for it and so long as you can afford to pay it back, it's not bad in and of itself. But debt becomes a problem when you lose control of it. So when you aren't taking it out for a specific purpose, and maybe if you've been pressured into taking out that debt, because that can be quite a common situation where, perhaps you're with a partner and they want you to take out a credit card in your name as well as theirs, but you're not quite so comfortable with that. That could lead to problems further down the line. I would say if you are going to take out debt, make sure that you have budgeted for it, that you know exactly how much you need to repay each month and that you are paying that debt back in full. It's also important to say that there is a difference between loans and credit. Loans is a one-off kind of borrowing, and credit is like a revolving loan that gets offered every month. And that's quite similar to an overdraft as well. Now, credit cards and overdrafts can be used to help boost your credit rating, and that's a really important number that's used by financial companies to assess whether they will lend you money. And you want to have a good credit rating. And the way that you do that is you need to show that you are a reliable borrower. So it's a bit of a tricky situation, right? Because you don't want to get into debt for the sake of it, but you want to be able to show that you are a reliable borrower in the future. But you've just got to do it in a sensible, smart way.
I've heard about loan sharks. What are they and what are the consequences that come with them?
So loan sharks are illegal money lenders and they are not regulated, which means that the authorities cannot control them, and they often target vulnerable people and encourage them to take out loans. But they're a really bad idea for three reasons. Firstly, they will charge so much more than legal money lenders. So there was one case where a woman borrowed £500 from a loan shark and she ended up owing £88,000. Now that's a really expensive loan. The second reason why they're a bad idea is that they often use intimidation and harassment to get what they want, to get what they think they're owed. And that can just be a really nasty, unpleasant experience when you're borrowing from them. And the third reason that they're a bad idea is that they will never want to work out a way for you to repay your debts. Their mission is to just get you to borrow more. So when you go to them and ask if you can come up with a repayment plan, they'll just ask you to take out another loan. So you'll just be piling debt on top of debt on top of debt, and you'll just get into a really vicious cycle that you want to avoid.
So how can I spot a loan shark?
Well, they're not wearing a t-shirt saying, "I am a loan shark." They could look like anybody. I guess the thing to watch out for is if someone approaches you offering a loan and they're providing absolutely no paperwork, they're doing it all off the books in a really hush-hush way. You might at first think that this is going to be much easier than going and applying for a loan and having that hassle, but actually it could just end up causing a lot of problems for you further down the line. So just be very wary about anybody approaching you with a loan, and I guess the thing to remember is that if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. There are alternatives to loan sharks. You could use a local credit union. This is like a club which you can join. If you save into it, then they will give you loans that are way more affordable and they'll treat you fairly. So it's well worth looking into credit unions. And also, the problem might be that you aren't getting the benefits and help that you're entitled to. So speaking to your assistant's advice, checking whether you can access any grants from your local authority or council, if there are any hardship funds, and always making sure you're getting the benefits that you're entitled to. That could just make all the difference. And also you should speak to debt charities if you are struggling with your debts that you have at the moment. and you want to come up with an affordable debt repayment plan.
What happens if I don't keep an eye on my debts?
The first thing that will happen is that you will get lots of letters and messages from your lenders asking you to pay up, and they may start charging you more, so your debts will become more expensive. Then you'll get to a stage where you might be passed on to debt collectors, and then they will be able to chase you up and be really quite persistent, and that can be a very unpleasant experience. And then if you still don't pay back what you owe at that point, then you will end up being taken to court, and you will have a county court judgment or a CCJ against your name, and that can harm your credit rating, and that will then make it even harder for you to get credit in the future. The absolute worst case scenario is when you find that you've got no choice but to declare bankruptcy, and that can help give you some breathing space in the short term, but it will also put massive restrictions on what you can do with your money. So that is the absolute last resort that you've got to try and avoid if you can. The thing to do is to get help sooner rather than later. Speak to your lender. They should help you come up with a repayment plan. If they don't, then you can speak to a debt charity because they offer free debt advice. You should never pay for debt advice because you can get that help for free from a debt charity. So the main thing to remember is that you're never alone. There's always help available.
Well, thank you for coming in today. Hopefully the young people will come away from this and actually see it's a good conversation that we've had today, and hopefully it will help them in the long run to not get into the wrong type of debt and get into the right type of debt. But thank you for coming and having a chat with us.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome. Thank you for having me along.
Thank you.